Hello and welcome to this discussion on the wire with our special guest Ashish Khetan, who's a senior spokesperson for Aam Aadmi Party. Well, we have him here not because he represents Aam Aadmi Party and he's also chairman of Delhi Dialogue Commission, but we essentially have Ashish also because in his earlier avatar as a journalist, he's done a lot of work, exposés, investigative work on the nexus between politics and big business, which of course he pursued even after he joined the Aam Aadmi Party some years ago, and he continues his crusade in that area. So in the context of Vijay Mallya's arrest yesterday, and whether it indeed addresses the big issue of the nexus between politics and big business, so we decided to have Ashish Khetan in our studios. Welcome, Ashish.
Hello.
So tell us, what do you make of Vijay Mallya's arrest? There's a lot of celebration in the government circles that it's a big breakthrough. Do you think it's a big breakthrough?
It is a big sham, and it is important for each of us to understand that why it is a farce. After 1 year, Mallya fled in March last year. After full 1 year of staying abroad, living a comfortable life, the government of India, the very powerful Modi government, has achieved what? A mere technical procedure where he was arrested technically, formally, and within 4 hours he was released on bail. Now there will be a long drawn legal battle in the courts of England
to get him extradited,
to start the extradition proceedings, where the Indian government will argue its case, the Indian investigating agencies will go and present their evidence, and Mallya's lawyers will defend Mallya. Where is Mallya coming back? When is he coming back? And the most important question that the government needs to answer is that why Mallya was allowed to leave the country in the first place. There was a lookout notice by the CBI against Mallya
in October 2015.
In October 2015.
Saying that he should be arrested if he leaves the country.
Exactly. And that lookout notice was changed in November, which allowed Mallya to leave the country. One, I want to ask this government, why did Mallya leave in the first place? Why was he not arrested when he was still a member of parliament and was very much present in the country? Number two, there are many more Mallyas in the country as of today. He is not the only one who has taken big loans from public banks and not repaying the loans. There are many more Mallyas. There is a list of Credit Suisse. There are so many other lists. Raghuram Rajan used to cry from the rooftops every second day about bad debts. What is the government doing about other Mallyas?
In fact, Raghuram Rajan also used to say that like in Mallya's case, in other cases too, personal guarantees should be secured by personal guarantees from promoters on the assets. Otherwise, promoters' liability is limited.
Exactly.
He can just get away with the bank money being sort of diverted out of the businesses for personal purposes.
Look at the injustice that the system is doing on the common man. आप चले जाओ मुंबई में, आप चले जाओ दिल्ली में, आप निकल जाओ बेंगलोर में, आपको बड़े बड़े मकान दिखेंगे. One house is owned by Adani, another house is owned by Ambani, another house is owned by Tatas, another house is owned by JP. All these promoters of big businesses who owe big loans of public sector banks, which they are not repaying, which are stressed as of today, are living a very, very luxurious and comfortable life. Their businesses are floundering, their businesses are bleeding, and they are saying that we don't have the money to repay, but they continue to live a very, very lavish life.
So,
how does the government explain that?
So
and why can't their personal assets, which have obviously been earned because of their businesses, be immediately seized or some action taken, or as Raghuram Rajan you pointed out, that they should give a personal guarantee? What is the government doing about it?
Here, Ashish, I want to ask you something. You've done a lot of investigative work in the past. Even as AAP member, you've written to the Prime Minister's office with proper evidence collected by the government, Finance Ministry, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, showing that some of the big groups which owe money to the tune of 50,000 crore to even 100,000 crore per group, they also diverted money, bank money out of the country through over invoicing of coal imports, etc. Now, shouldn't the government declare these people willful defaulters because they have not repaid loans and they are seeking more time to pay back loans? And one of the definitions of willful default is when you use the bank money and divert it out for other purposes. So, doesn't this fall in the definition of willful default?
Absolutely.
Going by some of the information that you have procured and you have written to the Prime Minister about.
Absolutely. See, what was the information that I procured? That information was subsequently published by you, by EPW. The information is that government's own investigating agency, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, has put together compelling evidence, elaborate evidence of how several top business groups had been and have been laundering money. They over invoice coal imports, they over invoice imports of plant and machinery, and the public money which they use to import coal and import plant and machinery. Public money, when I say, because they are taking bank loans.
Bank loans, yeah.
Using those bank loans, they are importing coal.
And at inflated prices.
At inflated prices, not just inflated prices, at prices which are many times over their actual price. So they buy a piece of coal for say 1 rupee, but on paper they show it as 10 rupees, sometimes 15 rupees, sometimes 20 rupees. They buy a plant and machinery for 100 rupees, actually they pay 100 rupees, but on paper they show 1000 rupees.
Okay.
And they route it through their shell companies incorporated in Dubai or in Middle East or in Singapore or in somewhere else. And they take the public money out of a country. DRI has put together evidence. I wrote letters to Prime Minister's office. I wrote letters to CBI director. I wrote letters to Director of Enforcement Directorate. They sent me acknowledgement. This is their own evidence.
Yeah.
What is stopping them from acting on this evidence? And what is the government doing in turn? 18 लाख लोगों को नोटिस इनकम टैक्स की भेज दी जिन्होंने 5 लाख के ऊपर डिपॉजिट कर दिया. चींटी को मारने की इनकी नियत है. हाथी पर खुद बैठ के सवारी कर रहे हैं, इसलिए हाथी सुरक्षित है.
So you're saying that the big business nexus with politics remains untouched under the Modi regime?
Look at their intent. What the latest change that they have brought in the law, that all these big businesses now can donate as much amount as they want to political parties, and they don't even have to declare. So today Adani can declare as much money, can donate as much money as he wants to Bharatiya Janata Party, and you and I would not even know.
Yeah. Tell me, Ashish, now coming back to some of the complications or complexities in the Mallya case, in the last few decades that I've been a journalist, I have not seen CBI and Enforcement Directorate, they work together on such cases where there's money laundering involved through tax havens abroad. Do you remember any case where big business or big politicians are involved where they have cracked and located the money trail and successfully linked it to the culprit? I have not seen, I've rarely seen a case that they have cracked.
Let's refresh.
So, given the past, I don't know whether they'll be able to do it in Mallya's case. So, tell me whether you have experience.
Exactly. So, let's refresh our memory and our viewers' memory. When 1.76 lakh crore worth of 2G scam happened, every day we read in the papers that the CBI and the ED have sent letter rogatories to Mauritius, to this tax haven, to that tax haven, and they were
explain to the viewer. Letter rogatory is a letter that the Indian agencies, investigative agencies, send to a foreign government seeking their cooperation on the suspicion that the money trail has gone to that country. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you know that when 2G spectrum was given away for dirt cheap price to all the front companies, floated allegedly, in one case by Anil Ambani Group, in another case by the Chandras, Unitech, and so on. They sent letter rogatories they said that a lot of shell companies were also set up abroad.
Yeah.
Every day we read in the papers, they were looking for money trail, because as of today, we don't know that where did the money go. इतना बड़ा स्कैम हुआ, 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का 2G स्कैम हुआ, सिर्फ 600 करोड़ रुपए इनको मिले यहाँ पे इंडिया में, जहाँ पर एक मुंबई की कंपनी से कन्नीमुरी की कंपनी में पैसे ट्रांसफ़र किए गए. बाकी पैसे कहाँ हैं? बहुत सारे लेटर रोगेटरीज भेजे.
And now it's nearly 3-4 years since the court proceedings.
It has been 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
Since the FIR was filed.
6 years since the FIRs were filed.
And we don't know where the 2G money trail has gone.
We don't know who funded these shell companies, where was the money coming from, where did the money go. Does this government owe an answer? And why? Because you have turned your agencies into secret service police, which is working for the government in power. Today what is CBI doing? रोज आम आदमी पार्टी के किसी मंत्री के खिलाफ 4 केसेस रजिस्टर कर लेते हैं कि ये 4 अपॉइंटमेंट इन्होंने कर दिए, 4 आर्किटेक्ट लगा लिए. Is this the job of the CBI? That 4 architects were appointed in a Delhi government department. That becomes a fit case for CBI investigation. Adani owes 90,000 crore rupees. Anil Ambani's group owes 1,40,000 crore rupees. There are other groups, together they owe 15 lakh crore rupees to a system. They have taken this money out of the system.
Recently the finance minister also said that the bank loan, the amount of debt owed to banks is a problem of 40 companies, he said, and he assured that within a few weeks the government will come up with some package to resolve this. I wonder what package.
What package?
Now that package has to be, the package has to be, government will have to take a hit, otherwise these people.
No, please understand. Venu, it is important for you to understand and the viewers to understand who is the finance minister of a country. Mr. Arun Jaitley. Mr. Arun Jaitley was a retainer of Anil Ambani until 2009. I had tweeted this information, it is in public domain, that just few months before he became the leader of opposition, he was receiving 36 lakhs of rupees every year from Anil Ambani. Somebody who had been a retainer of all these same people who have taken the money out of the system, public money out of the system.
But hasn't that been a practice earlier with the Congress?
Is that a healthy practice?
I know it's not a healthy practice. There is conflict of interest. So what is the solution? They should withdraw from dealing with these cases. Is that a proper procedure to be followed?
Tell me, one, just because Congress ministers also used to do this, does this make a healthy practice? Number one.
Absolutely
Number
not.
two. Number two. If I had been a lawyer of Anil Ambani, and not just a lawyer, I was a retainer. 50 लाख रुपए मुझे बस साल के ऐसे ही चेक आ जाते हैं. मुझे कुछ मैं कर नहीं रहा था अनिल अंबानी के लिए, मैं उसका मुकदमा नहीं लड़ रहा था, आर्ग्यू नहीं कर रहा था कोर्ट में जाकर. मुझे 50 लाख रुपए अनिल अंबानी बस रिटेनर मुझे देता था. आज मैं उसी अनिल अंबानी के खिलाफ कार्रवाई कर पाऊंगा.
So there is we need to establish procedures by which we eschew this conflict of interest situation, right?
Absolutely. First of all these so-called corporate lawyers, when they are in power, they are finance minister. When they are in opposition, they become lawyers of these big corporate groups. They should not be holding public offices. The Prime Minister should take a call on this. That look, justice should not.
Or they should not be dealing with these cases, right?
But who will know whether they are dealing with these cases or not dealing with these cases? The entire problem of stressed loans, bad debts is because of patronage. The nexus between corporate groups and politicians. विजय माल्या को स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया ने 1500 करोड़ रुपए का लोन दे दिया. किस बात पे दे दिया? कि किंगफिशर के ट्रेडमार्क आप रख लो. आज वो 6 रुपए के नहीं बिक रहे हैं किंगफिशर के ट्रेडमार्क. आपको 15 लाख रुपए का लोन नहीं देगा स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. आपसे 15 लाख रुपए का लोन देगा तो 20 लाख रुपए की आपके घर जो है रखवा लेगा, मॉर्गेज रखवा लेगा.
So
मैं देता हूं, मैं कल जाता हूं स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को कि आशीष खेतान ट्रेडमार्क रख लो, तुम मुझे दे दो 1 करोड़ रुपए, दे देगा मुझे स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया.
So given this record of the government, as you just described so eloquently, what are the chances that the government is able to win this case in the London court, establish Vijay Mallya's the money trail, the money laundering trail, and bring him back here to be criminally prosecuted?
ये तमाशा है, ये सरकार नहीं करेगी. This government doesn't have the intent. This government, the government which is going after the common man and seeking explanation for a deposit of 5 lakh rupees in your bank account is not the government from which you can expect to take action against big sharks. This government is sitting in the pocket of big sharks. There is 15 lakh crore rupees of stressed assets, all of which is actually bad debt. They are calling it, stress loans, but they are actually, because not a penny is coming back. They are all sitting here. JP is sitting here, Adani is sitting here, Anil Ambani is sitting here, SR is sitting here. People want visible action. Take action. Show your intent that you want to recover people's money.
And you didn't answer my other question. What is the record of CBI and ED, historical record in cracking this money trail?
Zero. The record of the CBI is poor, abysmal, and the record is only getting worse under the present regime. It was a cage parrot during Congress time. I don't know what a neutral or reasonable person would call it now. I think
it's a selective vulture in the BJP.
Maybe a selective vulture. They are very happy in foisting political cases. As I said, they are a secret arm of Bharatiya Janata Party. They are happy to lodge cases against Congress ministers and chief ministers, against Aam Aadmi Party's ministers and chief ministers,
Trinamool
Congress, MLAs and MPs, but they are not taking any action against big corruption. Big corruption in this country, in the name of which Modi fought the election, is thriving and is still intact in the country.
So Ashish, there are some viewers who have a question for you. Sarita Rani asks you whether is Vijay Mallya going to be extradited to India? Any data on exact number of willful defaulters prosecuted and brought to justice in the last 15 years?
There is no, to my memory, there is not even one case where CBI has been successful in getting a big corporate group
or a big name businessman or a politician,
or a big businessman or a big politician actually convicted in a court of law. CBI's track record, as I said, is completely tainted with political action. They are being misused and abused politically. Same used to happen during Congress time. Nothing has changed under Modi.
And any data on the exact number of willful defaulters prosecuted and brought to justice in the last 15 years? Well, they hardly, even the companies that they have announced or declared as willful defaulters are all small companies, 200 crore, 300 crore companies.
Exactly.
I don't think they've had the guts to declare a big group willful defaulter.
Exactly. Because, and it is not very hard to understand why so. Because if the Prime Minister is accompanied by Gautam Adani on almost every second trip he makes abroad, then what do you expect the agencies to do or the banks to do? They are instead extending him fresh loans. The State Bank of India has extended him a fresh loan for his new project in Australia.
Yeah, it was a big controversial thing where SBI initially withdrew and then they tried to put together a consortium, etc. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Gautam Adani should be first asked to repay the old debt.
Yeah. Then there's another Ashish Rajat Mayank has a question for you. What is happening to the Panama Papers leak? What action? What do you think?
See, there were 3 big lists which had come out, and they had come out not through government's efforts, but because some whistleblower here or there got hold of the list. And
it fell on the government's lap.
It was imposed on the government, and the government had no other way but to take cognizance. Take cognizance.
One is Panama Papers?
One is Panama Papers, which was a job of the investigative consortium.
Journalists around the world?
Journalists around the world.
And there was the HSBC list, right?
The second was the HSBC list. There were, and the third was a Liechtenstein list. Right? In all these 3 cases, there has been no action. Notices were issued, routinely notices were issued.
But from the HSBC, the finance ministry claims that they have collected some 7,000 crore worth of taxes, a kind of a tax deal that they did, isn't it? So anyway, that's a very meager amount.
मोदी जी ने कहा था कि बाहर इतना पैसा जमा है, फॉरेन बैंक्स में इतना ज़्यादा पैसा है कि उसको वापस ले आएंगे तो हर आदमी को 15-15 लाख रुपए मिल जाएंगे. नाउ दे आर सेइंग दैट दे हैव कलेक्टेड 7,000 करोड़ ऑफ रुपीस.
और HSBC लिस्ट में फौजदारी केसेस भी लॉन्च किए थे, उसका क्या हुआ अभी तक पता नहीं.
One, because anyone who either through evasion of tax or through corruption made money and then stashed it abroad needs to be criminally prosecuted. Then you just empty out all the jails. Why you have locked up small pickpockets and thieves? Strike a deal with them.
And the third, Ashish, another question from Srinivas. Why has the centre opposed PIL seeking a ban on convicted politicians from contesting polls?
The centre has what? Opposed the PIL.
Why has the centre opposed PIL seeking a ban on convicted politicians from contesting polls? Is this true?
Well, I am not aware of this.
I think I'm not sure whether this whether the centre has responded to this PIL or has this.
Because after Lily Thomas, now the law is very clear. In the Representation of People's Act now, it is being read into the law that anyone who gets convicted for 2 years and above gets automatically disqualified until he is acquitted by the appellate court.
So now, Ashish, tell me, so the nexus between big business and politics, you're saying it thrives. Now, why is it that this government has managed to really divert attention from that and really take focus away from this? They've taken focus away from Vyapam. They've taken focus away from Lalit Modi case, on which also Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had promised that he will find out, investigate the Lalit Modi investments in a company run by Vasundhara Raje Scindia's Rajasthan Chief Minister's son, Dushyant Singh, 11 crore investments. What is going on? Why has this BJP managed to divert attention from all these things? Or have they managed to divert attention?
3 reasons. Number 1, the institutions in the country, the key institutions in a country, media and judiciary, there has been a serious decline in their integrity. They have failed to bring the culprits to account. Media doesn't pursue, doesn't ask the right questions. In fact, media is a partner. The mainstream media today is hand in glove with the establishment in diverting people's attention from core issues, from real issues. Number 2, there's hardly any good order coming from the courts. Right, PILs are being filed, many cases go to court. The big and powerful manage to delay the proceedings through dilatory tactics. Cases linger on.
But what is happening to the Supreme Court, Ashish? Supreme Court was so active during Anna Hazare movement in the last 3 years of UPA, and Supreme Court created such a lot of expectation of the people from them. What has happened to the Supreme Court in recent last 2 years?
It's very sad. I think in Bombay High Court we saw the Chief Justice taking cognizance of the fact that a journalist was reporting the proceedings of some case, and she took objection on the attire of the journalist, that the journalist had come dressed in jeans, and she issued a notice that journalist should. I think, is that the job of the Supreme Court? Is this the job of the Supreme Court, that how national anthem should be played before the screening of every film? And if there is a national anthem which is part of the film, then what should the audience do? Or
whether restaurants serving liquor should be at 500 meters from the road, or
400 meters.
Yeah.
And the governments are finding a way around it by changing the definition of the state highways. People go to court seeking justice. The common man has a lot of hope from this court, and the Supreme Court played a splendid role in 2011-2012, because all these cases of corruption, whether 2G or coal scam, justice was finally done, and lakhs of crores of rupees of exchequer was finally saved because the Supreme Court took decisive action. They cancelled the lease, they cancelled the allocation of coal and expensive spectrum. Today, we don't see such decisive affirmative action from the courts, which is very sad. And number 3, you said that why the dispensation is so successful.
Is there a general fear of this government even in the judiciary? One kind of occasionally reads about it in the newspapers.
Well, the judiciary has not been able to get names cleared for appointment as High Court judges and Supreme Court judges. This government has been installing appointment of judges for the last 2 years. Since their NJAC was struck down, this government has been obstructing the working of an independent judiciary. This government is very clear, this government doesn't want an independent judiciary. Now it's up to the Supreme Court whether they want to retain and preserve their independence. I think Justice Thakur, he did a marvelous job in preserving and safeguarding and protecting the independence and the integrity of the Supreme Court of India. He did his bit. Now it is for the incumbent Chief Justice and those who follow him to follow the footsteps of Justice Thakur. And number 3, you asked that why the government is so successful in diverting the attention of
Is
people.
it because they are winning elections politically, and these days on social media, if you're, as journalists, we are expected to be anti-establishment. That's our role. If we also become public relations people, then there will be no opposition at all. So people, when you criticize the government, they say, okay, but they're still winning elections, so you're wrong. So what you're saying is not reflected on the ground. So this is one argument which is coming after the UP elections. How do you respond to that?
Indira Gandhi wanted a committed judiciary. Congress for a very long time wanted a committed judiciary. It's no surprise that Modi government also wants a committed judiciary. उन सबको committed judiciary चाहिए.
And a committed media also.
And a committed media also. अब मीडिया का जो अपना है कि मीडिया भी committed होना चाहती है, judiciary भी committed होना चाहती है. Every leader when he is in power, every party when it is in power wants a non-critical media and a non-critical, subservient, complying judiciary. It is now for the judiciary and the media to decide whether they want to be independent or they want to be committed. Whether country comes first or serving those in power comes first. Because those in power will come and go. जो आज सत्ता में आए हैं वो कल सत्ता के बाहर भी जाएंगे. Nation is eternal. And number 3, the opposition has got its strategy all wrong. The principal opposition party.
Would you include all? You are including all opposition parties?
No. See, when I am saying basically Congress. Today Aam Aadmi Party doesn't have a presence in the house. We are a very small party. We are just a party which is in power in half state of which is called the Union Territory of Delhi.
Yeah.
Congress has its presence all over India. Congress has its governments in various states. Congress has.
So you're referring to Congress basically?
I'm referring to Congress.
National opposition.
The national opposition. What are they doing? Are they raising all these issues on the floor of the house or outside the parliament? The answer is no.
Is it because you think that, coming back to the original subject that we got here to discuss, the nexus between politics and big business or big corruption, is it because Congress, because of its long history of its own relationship with big business, it feels a bit on the defensive and not able to counter Modi on this? And whereas the supporters of BJP, they claim that after Modi came to power, at least this government is not dispensing big favors to big business. Now that's one of the arguments. And on the question that we are discussing here as to why on all the cases which are against big business there is no forward movement, this government is saying that, oh, these are all past cases. So like Vijay Mallya or the loans were all given by the previous regime, so we are trying our best. So in some ways this government is trying to wash his hands off by saying that these were all done by the previous regime. So is that a problem?
I want to understand all the apologists of this government. I want to ask them one question. What do they mean by big favor? which the Congress government used to extend to its cronies, that this government is not extending to its cronies. Like you take the example of the case that the CBI registered against the Adani Group, where they had documentary evidence of how the Gautam Adani Group had laundered more than 6,000 crore rupees through shell companies. By not taking any action in that case, isn't this government extending Gautam Adani a favor? Now you have another DRI report which shows
so you're saying that by not taking action they are extending the favor.
In another DRI report there is a scam of more than 30,000 crore rupees of coal import. All the big names are there. It is DRI's report. SR is there, Adani is there, Anil Ambani is there. What action has his government taken? Is this not a favor?
Actually, Ashish, there is a very interesting question from Rangacharan Pradhan. This relates to your work, which you also did. You wrote to the PMO complaining about non-action in some cases of over-invoicing of coal imports particularly. He says, I'm very impressed with his knowledge. He says, I believe some complaints have been lodged with SIT regarding coal over-invoicing. Any progress, he's asking. I think you also wrote to SIT, right?
I didn't write to SIT, but I believe that SIT issued a statement where they said that look, we are seized of the matter.
Of this coal over-invoicing of coal imports.
Of some of the coal invoicing or some other case.
And this over-invoicing is, just to tell the viewers, it totals about 20,000 crores of over-invoicing.
More than that. Yeah? More than that. Because there are individual cases of SR and Adani where they had imported plant and machinery which was inflated and money was laundered, the allegation is. And then there is allegation of coal imports. Well, I would also like to know what has the SIT done, because Venu, this is important.
We must clarify to Rangcharan Pradhan that these are not complaints, these are fully investigated reports by the government's own department. Finance Ministry's Directorate of Revenue Intelligence has investigated and given these reports to various departments.
In fact, one arm of the Finance Ministry of the Revenue Department, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, under the statute has already completed its investigation, collected evidence, recorded statements and produced a report. And now subsequent action needs to be taken by the ED under FEMA and Prevention of Money Laundering,
which has not happened,
and by the CBI under Prevention of Corruption Act, which is not happening.
So no further action. There is another question, Ashish, from Nitin Vishen. What is your and AAP stand on the recent money bill introduced by Arun Jaitley, particularly on the amendment proposed to remove cap that barred companies from donating more than 7.5% of their average net profits to a political party?
Exactly.
This also has to do with the larger discussion that we are having here.
Yeah. So they want to basically BJP wants to take big money from big corporate groups, right? I think nothing can be more perilous to a democracy than this particular bill which they have brought, because if democracy is held hostage by big business houses, because if they have a vice-like grip over political parties, which they will eventually have, and which they have to a large extent over parties like Congress and BJP, and if these big business houses, by donating big money, start dictating public policies, is as if they are already dictating, but like you remove the cap. अभी तो जो शर्म थी, inhibitions थे, वो भी हटा दिए, जो cap थी वो भी हटा दी. So now they will run political parties, they will decide who is going to be chief minister, they will decide who is going to be the prime minister, and they will decide what should be the public policy.
At least earlier there was some transparency. You had to record the names
in
the company's books and the political parties' books.
जो आंखों की शर्म थी वो भी नहीं रही, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि वो चुनाव पे चुनाव जीतते जा रहे हैं. अब they are unstoppable and nobody can ask a question. Media is in their pocket, all the institutions are in their pocket, so they are completely unbridled now in their exercise of power.
So finally, Ashish, where is this headed? Now, we've discussed so many issues which are staring at us, in regard to this relationship between big corruption and government. What is the Are you optimistic? What is the solution?
I am optimistic because ये जो हो रहा है, जब अति होती है तो वो घड़ा पाप का जो है अपने आप फूटता है.
एक अति के बाद एक सवेरा आता है.
Absolutely. So while the night is dark, I am sure there will be a dawn as well. So eventually, I think chickens will come home to roost because during demonetization also there are a lot of serious allegations that some senior BJP leaders were involved in exchanging money by taking a huge cut. The institutions were involved, some banks were involved, and I don't think that this government will be successful in covering it all up. It will eventually come out.
But eventually it has to be dealt with politically.
Exactly.
In the sense that it is only politics which will give us a new path.
Yes, and I think the people will find their own political path. People of this country, I have immense hope in the power of democracy, and like Anna movement happened, Aam Aadmi Party happened, or even Congress was thrown out of power. People will chart out their own political path.
So on that optimistic note, we close this discussion. Thanks for being with us. That's all we have for now. Thanks for watching.